Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Women's Wisdom Conversations. Today, I've got my special and wonderful friend, Ganga Karen Ashworth, here with me. There is just so much I could say about this amazing lady, but I'm going to let her do the speaking today and not me. We have had a history of about 20 years. Our two of our children are similar ages. And the funny part of our story, I guess, is that Ganga and I met as parents at a school when our children were very small. And Ganga and I were the two mums losing our shit. Everybody else was being graceful and calm and wonderful. And we connected because we thought, she's my kind of lady. And I'm so glad we did. And I have learned so much from this beautiful lady over the last almost 2 decades. Hard to believe it's been that long, but yes, almost 2 decades. Ganga is a voice empowerment coach and a sound psychotherapist. Now, if you don't know what that means, you're probably in good company, but she's amazing at what she does. And part of the reason I think I'm actually able to be here today doing these videos is because of Ganga. She's such an amazing powerhouse when it comes to helping people find their voice, express their inner being, and to heal using their own voice. So I'm not going to keep talking about her. I'm going to let Ganga speak to us. So welcome, Ganga, and thank you so much for being here.
Wow, Pip, what a privilege. That's quite an introduction. And yeah, I remember back to those days and the challenges that we had with our little ones when they were little, and just the whole context of the school that we met and the children were going to. And yeah, it has been a wonderful journey and a challenging one. And yeah, that's pretty real for being a mum and being alive, I would say, particularly in these current times that we're in. So it's a privilege to be here in this conversation with you and, well, get to have a chat with my friend over distance. It's a great excuse. But yeah, I'm really hoping that I can support in some way your listeners today.
And I have no doubt that you will. So I guess the first thing we need to clarify here for anybody listening in today is just what is a voice empowerment coach and a sound psychotherapist? What does that mean?
It's a really good question, Pip, and I'm constantly trying to find ways to express that so that it is, it addresses people that need to hear that. And I guess that's the common context is women who don't feel or haven't felt heard. And if that's something that you resonate with, then this work is what I'm bringing, and has evolved over time actually, because those women are the women coming to me, and there's men as well, absolutely. But my focus is women because it seems to be a common experience for women of not feeling heard or feeling that we have something that stops us from expressing who we are, that stops us speaking up in the moment, that stops us being free to express our innermost being, what lives in our heart, and it's difficult for it to have a way out. So that's who, if that's you, that I'm working with. And the reason is to free that up, to allow us to really, I guess the tiniest condensation of that is so that our lives sing, so that we feel that what makes our lives sing, it is available to us. So really moving that's blocking, moving that's stopping this, that sits in between our heart and our mind. What is it that gets in the way? What's the frog in our throat? What blocks us? And using vibration or sound to open that pathway, to get that moving, to get this little tiny bridge and bottleneck that we have in our body open and flowing, and that these things that live within inside us that want an expression that would make our life sing, have an ability to be expressed and to be heard. and that we feel that we can be heard by others. Long-winded expression and description, hopefully that gets you somewhere towards what sound. And the psychotherapy part, that's right, I haven't addressed that. So I've trained in psychotherapy and counselling as a way to be able to hold this in a broader context. And so I work as a counsellor 3 days a week in a service with Baptist Care, counselling and family services. And I bring this work in that context, but also in my private practice, working with sound and psychotherapy. And it's not that the two are distinct, they flow with each other. As I learned when I started to study, I went, oh, I've been doing it this way. And so psychotherapy's brought a much broader perspective to the way that I can approach and work with people and hold them in these vulnerable spaces, because it can be very vulnerable.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm sitting here nodding and I'm kind of going, I'm going to be brave today because I'm going to actually put myself as the guinea pig and share a little bit of our story because, well, my story, because of the impact that you have had on the progression of that story and the changing and direction of that story. And when you're sort of talking about the bridge here, I can still remember and I still feel that feeling that when I want to speak up or I want to say something, it hurts because I'm working so hard at shoving it back down and closing it off for the fear of saying the wrong thing or it sounding wrong. Or, I mean, particularly when you're singing, to hit a bum note felt very scary for me, to just not be able to open my mouth and have the sound come out as it's supposed to, as it's written. But also, you know, if you're sitting in a business meeting or you're sitting there having a conversation with a friend or your husband or somebody and you really need to express something, that feeling where it just clamps down and closes up is, it's a visceral memory for me. I don't experience that nearly as much as I used to. A lot more techniques learned through you. And I guess the singing component for me is something that I've been able to share and expand. And one of the comments that constantly came out once I started singing with you in that safe space in an a cappella group, and I do remember the first month I mimed. I didn't let a sound out, again, because this was so closed and so tight and so fearful of hitting a bum note, and gradually began to realise that when you say there are no bum notes, there is no wrong sound, there is no wrong part, you can't get this wrong, I actually started to believe you and I let the sound out. And after a few months of singing with Shakapella, having my husband comment to you that our family life had changed because I started to sing. So do you want to expand on that from your perspective, Ganga?
Because that still gives me goosebumps to hear. When I heard that, I just went, oh, really? Wow, that's right. Yeah. So that's really the singing aspect is what led me into working with the voice in the way that I do and working with sound and psychotherapy the way that I do. Because, I mean, it's my first love. That's my passion, is that I love to sing. And there's a lot of my own personal journey around that. But and I guess that feeds into how we ended up working together. So coming to that singing space, what is it that stops people? You know, why is it that some people can sing in tune sometimes and not at other times? What is it that makes the voice feel held back, and that pain that you talk about, and the limitation and the strain that happens in this area? What causes that, and what's stopping us from expressing freely this natural sound that's within us? And when we let ourselves really sing, what does that make available to us? And so that's why I went to, well, what happens with these blockages, and what's it feel like, and what's the sensation of that, and what happens when we start to vibrate that and shake some of it loose and give a little bit more space for what's here to move through. And, you know, it might have to do a convoluted dance to get out, but it's it makes available this unique expression, and that experience that you've had over and over again, Pip, of when you allow that natural sound out, you go, oh my goodness, is that me? Like, is that my voice? I can sound like that, and I can let myself sound like that. And then who can I let myself sound like that with and for? And in your case, it was for, and still is in a lot of ways, for your family, for your children. And so there's joy in that, being childlike and singing songs like, what's one I'm currently doing because it's a reminder every time I wash my hands is, every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. There's children's playful songs. There's joy and upliftment that are available there. But there's also that permission, so your children started to sing with you, and they still do.
Yeah.
And they still sing in their own way.
Absolutely.
So it gave all this, permission to you, but also to your family. And then what does that open up in terms of our emotions? That was something that fascinated me in my own training, when I trained at the conservatorium, and my teacher was head of vocal studies, and scary as, like, the picture of, the Brunhilde with the hat with the horns and the pitchfork, that was her. She'd played that role, and she had those pictures on her wall, and I was scared of her. And so I'd often end up in tears in my singing lessons. What was that, And that would happen with students that I was working with. What's that about? So, working with this area and what sound opens up in our emotions just, opens up so much then for, like, your experience of your family, what that opens up in our ability to feel our emotions and express them with each other. And it may not even be through words, we can do that through sound and through song.
And the fabulous thing my kids are always giving me a hard time about is that I come up with a song for every occasion. So, and I know you're the same, and I know we do it every time, but it's so true. Whatever emotion you're feeling, there's a song, and be it a song that you remember and you start to sing, or be it a song that you will go and turn on and listen to, that is able to either transport you to somewhere or to lift you back out of something, or if need be, take you deeper in, because oftentimes you'll hear those melancholy types of songs and you were feeling a little sad, and then all of a sudden you're just sitting there in tears. So having your voice, going back to the voice with that, for me, it's learning through you about the vibration of the voice and how it's actually the perfect healing tool for you. It's the perfect vibration for whatever's going on with you. So working with that really assists in your own healing. Don't know where I'm going with that, I don't think, but I know there's something that you can add to that experience, that, that vibration of your own voice and personal work. And you don't need to be with somebody. You can do that on your own, follow your instinct and do that for yourself.
Thank you. Yes, I would love to add to that. It is absolutely something that's available to us 24/7. Our voice was created with us, and it is a unique expression. So when you pick up the phone to and answer it, and it's a friend, and they say hi and just start talking, you know who that is. Partly because now on our phones we have caller ID, but also there's a unique sound to their voice, and you recognize that, and there's a knowing, and you go, oh yeah, that's your unique vibration. So voices are that unique. They're like fingerprints. They identify us. There's software technology that uses that as a security, voice identification, because voices are that unique. And so voices are that unique for a reason. It speaks who you are to others. But it took me a long time, to realize that the sound that we make can be turned around and given to ourselves For years, my training was all about make the sound as beautiful and as right as possible and give it to others, share it with others. And, you know, it came as quite a shock to me when I think it was a kinesiology session when I was living here in the Southern Highlands still. And what came out with these two women that were working with me was that when I sing, my voice depletes me. And I was like, that's not the intention. That's not what I want. But that focus on giving to others constantly there was another pathway, you know, apart from being a woman and a mother and a teacher and, you know, these sort of things, that I was giving in the world, that I was giving of myself and my own vibration with my voice. So that started an inquiry of turning it around and going, okay, so what happens for me when I make sound? Which led me to other forms of healing that makes available, that when we allow the sound and feel the resonance of that, and notice it for our own body, that opens up all sorts of things that are available. So that vibration that my voice creates, giving that to my body, that opens up the possibility for healing on so many levels, on emotional level, even on a physical level. You know, if we have dis-ease in the body, could that vibration speak to that dis-ease, shake it up, shake it loose, release it from the body, or realign our cells so that they know their optimum blueprint, their way of working. So this subtle vibration that when we allow ourselves to notice it and feel it, and maybe we could try that now. Would that be okay, Pip?
Yes, absolutely.
Experience of that in your own body. And what I find is with a closed sound, often it can be more tangible and more able to be recognized. So if you were to hum and just allow yourself to hum quietly to yourself and notice if you can feel a vibration somewhere in your body. So if we were to allow that, breathing out.
Just going to add into there, we may cut each other out doing this, so you'll hear one or the other of us. Hopefully it will be Ganga so you can actually hear what she's saying. So I will hum very quietly here in the background.
Thanks for being aware of the limitations of our technology and working with that, Pip. So a breath in and then hum gently to yourself. And you might even want to try another one and when you feel the sound, see if you can put your hand where in your body you might feel the sound. And there's no way you can get this wrong. I just find it intriguing that it's different for each person. So allow your breath in and hum and notice the vibration. Yeah. And I noticed, because I can see, Pip, that you had that in more than one place. And I did the same. I went, oh, actually, it's here. And normally I feel it here. Can I feel it here? Yes, I do. But I'm feeling it here as well, like this kind of bridge of the nose kind of feeling. How was it for you?
Well, I've got a very mild headache today. So again, having worked with you for so many years, it's become a bit of an instinctive thing to do when I'm, drop into the body and aware of what's going on. There's just that. So I actually pitched my voice a bit higher with my hum. So it was through here, but also just in here, which I guess it's part of the mechanism. So feeling it, yeah. So, but it's one of those lovely things to be able to bring yourself back into the moment, into your body, to actually be aware of what's going on. So it's sort of a bit of a meditative practice, using your voice in that way, because you are bringing an awareness to what's actually the sensation that's actually going on in your body, rather than your head constantly going, oh God, does that sound awful? Oh God, listen to that wobble. Oh, we just caught then, and that's awful, and oh, what will people think of that sound? Which is what my mind did often. It just runs away with itself. So being able to focus on the vibration is very centering and calming, I think.
Mm. And I wonder if you've just tried that sound with us, if there's a resonance of that, if the sound has dissipated or the sensation of that has dissipated, or if it's still there.
I'm still aware of it.
Mm. Yeah. So again, like you said, Pip, there's a mindfulness aspect of the voice that, one, it makes you really present in your body. Like, what do I notice? Am I experiencing vibration? What's going on? And then that meditative space of, there's a calm, a centeredness, a peace that's available during the sound and in the afterglow after the sound. And to just sit in that and allow that can bring peace.
And the other,
what? Go ahead.
Sorry. The other thought that came to me, and it was just, again, the flash of our funny memories of, as mums of small children, when I first started singing with Ganga, it was my one night out a week. And we often had very little time to be able to catch up. So after singing, at the end of Shakapala, Ganga does a wonderful thing called a sound bath. So we're all able to just sound and bathe in that sound and that vibration. And it's actually the singing, the whole process of singing in that group scenario is quite energizing. So we'd find ourselves quite energized and up. So we'd sit in the car, in the middle of winter in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales, absolutely freezing, and talk because it was our moment, it was our chance, but we were also energized enough, as tired mums, we were energized enough to be able to have those conversations. So that's, I don't know, is that a contradiction? What is that it can be so calming and yet at the same time so incredibly energizing?
I love that you've asked that question. It is such that has been the subject of research and, our personal experience. So yes, sound in that context was relaxing. In lots of traditions, there are descriptions of, this sound is good for your spleen, or this sound will align your chakras. And, it's specific to base chakra sounds like this, and this one sounds like this. And it's been my experience that those things can change, that you can have a sound that is for the base chakra, and then you're moving up through the chakra sounds, and the sound can go down in pitch instead of up. It doesn't have to be the way that it's prescribed in many systems, and at the same time those systems work and are true. So what is the truth here? And I love this from sound healer. He's a pioneering sound healer and researcher, because all of his family are doctors. So his name's Jonathan Goldman, and he wrote and he's written a number of books and has a lot of sound healing material out there. One of them is the 7 Secrets of Sound Healing, and one of those secrets is the most healing instrument is your voice. And one of the things that I've read in his research was that he looked into this, like, how is it that this sound can create this effect for this person, and the same sound creates a different effect, or different sounds create the same effect? How is that possible? And what he arrived at was, he ended up creating a formula, which is frequency. So any sound, any vibration at all, however you produce it, coupled with your intent, your intention brings about healing. So that's the powerful ingredient in vibrational healing and sound healing. And working with your voice in any context is, what's your intention for it? So if we're having, and there's also particular sounds, so I'll come back to the singing aspect of that, but in terms of how we want to feel, if you have the intention to change your mood and you want to feel peace, then that will be what happens from that sound. If you have the intention that you want to feel uplifted and energized, then that's what that sound will carry. And back to the singing aspect of it, there are certain sounds that have, and songs and styles of music that and genres that have within them innately that energizing feel. And that's the sort of stuff, like African music is a passion of mine for that reason.
Yeah, yeah,
We
it
laugh
works.
about it. Yeah, there's something about, and even African American gospel, or the blues, there's something about that, like wade in the water, wade in the water, children. Like, it's blue and it's melancholy, but what does it do for you when you sing it? What does it leave you with?
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of combination of what was happening for us back in those days that I probably didn't know at the time. I just knew that singing made me feel good, and I wanted to share that with other people, especially singing in harmony. So there's some thoughts on that.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, there was two things I wanted to pick up on that. Going back to being able to focus, bring the focus inward and give the gift of your voice to yourself. For me, and I'm broadcasting this because I would love for other people to be able to experience it, whether or not they ever get to sing with you or not, is that that creates one of the means of creating a safety net when you're singing in a group, that if you're actually not in this circle, no music because it's a cappella, it's just people's voices, that if you are focused on how that feels as you're singing it, your mind is not going, did I hit a bum note? Was that wrong? Oh God, who heard that? Blah, 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 because there's endless variations of those thoughts. That when you're thinking and you're focusing on, what does this feel like when I'm singing this? How do I feel? What's the result of this for me? You stop being so fearful of what's out there, what you're projecting out, what's actually coming out, because you're looking at a different space in a different way. So that's something that's really stayed with me, really stuck with me, is that being able to look at giving my voice to myself. And the other thing I got from this last little bit as well, in a past life, I'm a massage therapist and I haven't done it for a very long time, but having worked with you and the healing power of sound, actually then introducing that to the table. So there were some very strange sounds that would come from my clinic room. And no sound was unwelcome. So, there was people swearing their heads off, or in tears, or laughing hysterically, or moaning, or whatever it was. As you get into those tight areas, those chronic painful areas in people's bodies, and give them permission to just let rip, just go with it, an extraordinary level of healing happens. And it's sort of not something that I can take credit for, as in terms of a hands-on healer, but giving people permission to use their voice whilst I'm actually manipulating muscle was a very powerful combination. So that sort of adds another layer to the power of using your voice for your own healing. So they were just two things that kind of came to me through that last comment with you on using your voice internally. I'm thinking we're probably coming fairly close to the end of our time together. Is there something that you would like to share with people that they can do in their lounge rooms, their bedrooms, their kitchens, their car, wherever it is, whilst we're in lockdown? Something that they can just do for themselves. So again, as you say, singing with intention, singing with a focus on what voice is giving to you. What's a little something that they can take away from today that they can do for themselves in their own space?
Oh, it's so many things. So the things that we have done already, but what comes to mind, apart from, every little cell in my body is happy, and sounding, to have that experience, like you said, of safety, because the sound is for you and not for others, so it's not vulnerable to being judged. So those things, absolutely. But what comes to mind is a Native American chant that we've done many times together, Shema.
Mm.
So there's one word, Shima, and it's repeated, and then there's a ya on the end of the last one. And Shima means love. It's a Hopi Indian, Native American Indian word, and it means love. And my sense is that in these times when there's so much fear, one of, I don't know if it's the antidote, that's, too big a spiritual concept for me to speak of, but my experience is when I focus on what I love, the experience of fear dissipates. So if we can resonate love, that could help and send that vibration out in the midst of all the closed in, fearful experiences that are possible at this time. Let's make another possibility.
Beautiful.
Shall we?
Yeah. Again, hoping we don't cancel each other out. So I'll keep mine softer so that you can hear, but I'm joining in.
Lovely. So it just goes Shima, 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 Shimaya. And then we just keep repeating it. Shima, 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 Shimaya. Maybe a little faster. Shima, 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 Shimaya.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Ganga. And that's actually Malika's favourite. That's why that's been recorded on Song Mama, that's her favourite. So
I've forgotten about that. Wonderful. And notice now, after having sounded that or even heard that, what remains for you? For me, there's a spaciousness in my chest. It's like, oh wow, that does resonate in my heart somehow.
Yeah.
So what is that for you?
So yeah, again, it's such a personal response. But I often, you often will say at the end of Shakapella, just stay in the space of that. Stay in the space of the silence. We're silent, but there's a resonance from the singing, and that's an experience of sound as well. So to stay in that space that we've created. So thank you so much, Ganga. I'm thinking we might have to try and get you back again and go deeper into more things, because looking at your website, there's just so much that you have on offer. So I'm going to, at the bottom of the video, there'll be links to Ganga's website and Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to check in with this gorgeous lady and have an experience of your own voice and what Ganga is able to bring to you, they will all be there for you to check in on. So thank you so much, Ganga. It's been so wonderful being able to have this chat and a little bit of a sing-song as we go. And I know there's so much more we could talk about, but we'll wrap that up for now and see how we go for another one another time.
Twist my rubber arm. I would love to be back and having another conversation with you. And thank you for our conversation today. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thanks, Ganga. And bye, everybody. We'll catch you again soon.